I'll just get the live settings changed properly that I have to do in the control room for 1 moment. We'll do the live chat, and then I can do that as a pop out on the live stream. I don't think the pop out chat works. Right. Nope. Let's try again. Pop out chat. There we go, it's worked that time. Now to drag that over here so it's actually in front of the thing. I've got aircon on in my room safe, but yeah, I wouldn't want to be wearing it in a normal room of a house. Also, I have noticed the MF1A does have a little bit of lens distortion. Not as bad as the S6, but there is still a bit with it. I guess the curve in that is just the wrong angle.
Can't hear me at all, the mask. Right, yeah, I said that might have been a problem at the very start of the stream, but yeah. So, yeah, I was saying I've got aircon running in here, so it's not too bad. But yeah, there is a bit of, with the MF1A, there is a bit of lens distortion to this, so it's nowhere near as bad as the S6. All right, little fella? But yeah, but like I said, the problem is no voice diaphragm on the GP5 style helmet mask. Is very, very annoying. Yeah, like I said, the modern MF1A I got, this one at least is made properly, so it works. Essentially, it's just like a modern Chinese GP5, same plastic valve assembly as you can see on it. Slightly different crimping and like band type thing now. But these have the triangular lenses, not the round ones. So you get a bit more field of view, but a bit more distortion. So yeah, it's a better made rubber and everything than that Russian Shum 2012, but it doesn't have a voice diaphragm on. So the Chinese still need to get around, I reckon, to making one of these style helmet masks with a voice diaphragm on. But yeah, it's not bad. Like I said, compared to this thing, I think the Chinese one actually has bigger lenses looking at that. Yeah, the Chinese one has marginally bigger lenses, but this obviously has the voice diaphragm on it. Yeah, in World War II, the Soviets had the first, at the end of the war, the first Shum. I think it's just called the Shum 1. And yeah, that's the mask all the GP5s and everything else descended from. Anyway, I'll pop my glasses on if I'm not wearing that mask because people can't hear me very well. And I can read the comments easier because they're slightly higher res. Not higher res, but, you know, not as distorted. So, you had to verify yourself on eBay because you wanted to buy a weed whacker. Instead of passport, they make you enter a credit card. So stupid. Well, if you're buying stuff online anyway, you're probably using a credit card. But they think you're going to go on a weed whacker massacre. It's like a knockoff Texas Chainsaw, where a man in a leather face thing runs around with a weed whacker. Yeah, it's because Militaria and stuff, the Chinese masks basically stole the M9, like the M9 and all that eyepieces. Because if you look at the really early Chinese masks, like the M65 and the, Type 65 and Type 69, they basically are using M9 pieces. All right, that's not a trench coat on there. That's just an East German, like, officer's enlisted man's, like, parade jacket. I have got a great coat, but that's a much bigger, heavier, sort of thicker thing. Yeah, I'm good, Blue Spider. Good today. On Monday, went out with some mates because one of my mates is leaving the area. So we went out for drinks and, like, dinner. And annoyingly, because I probably had a couple too many pints and the food didn't completely agree with me. Mostly yesterday, I felt quite shit. Just because, you know, it was like where I had sort of an upset stomach and all that sort of thing. Oh, so you can't actually verify yourself with proper ID. You must have a credit card or else. But yeah, that is annoying. Like, so I have both a credit card and a debit card. But most of the time I use a debit card. But credit cards are better in the sense that you do get additional protection. Because the sense that somebody can't steal your credit card details and empty your entire bank account like they can with a debit card. I'll go back and have a look, Saint. So bear with me a second. Let's see what they're saying about me. if the Glavsat or whatever they're called trolls are being told to do something more modern than that video, they'll have moved on. But that wasn't a short, was it? It was a fairly long video, that one. Right, yeah, so let me look at the comments. And oh, yeah, I have got a vat, Nick. Oh, haha, cold take, dude, no bearing on the reality. Time to diversify your opinion sources or information sources. I suspect you have Mayor being led around by the nose. Not only in Ukraine being depopulated and badly beaten on the battlefield, despite being very creative and fighting bravely, but so indeed is NATO. Look up heavenly. Oh, this guy is now on about stuff about weird fucking conspiracies, so I'll get rid of this guy. But I'm not going to even read out all of his fucking message because it's all like, I think like Holocaust denial stuff then. Let's see what his profile has. He has 8 videos, 1,333 views. He's apparently from Australia. Only one of his videos is about Prigozhin. All the rest are just like taking pictures of stuff with a camcorder. So I'm sure he is a very, very informative person. I don't miss his opinions. All right, but let's do Howard for review because that's no Howard for review, and so we only had one more Vatnik. Oh well. Well, the World War II civilian duty respirator, it's all right, but obviously don't wear one because it's got asbestos in the filter. I haven't looked at all the replies to comments yet because I have to change the thing to see those. I was just looking at that I haven't responded to. German gas mask in the background. What German gas mask in the background? That's an MM1 there. Can't put that on because it's on the mannequin and I'd have to take the mannequin apart to do it. All right, Salt Lake City, Utah, isn't that? Yeah, everything's all right here. I mean, there's all the usual politics bullshit going on, but nothing particularly bad with me. But yes, the civilian duty respirator, the face piece is all right, because the face piece is basically like the Mark IV, just with a filter there, rather than having the sort of exhale valve and the filter coming down on the hose. Yeah, I've got a lot of other gas masks in the background. So yeah, I've got a lot of other gas masks in the background, just not any German ones, I don't think. Oh, it's the face blank coming out. Now, this is a GOST filter, but I think they normally screw on all right to NATO masks. Not I'd ever do that in an emergency situation, but just for doing a video like this. It's not like the other way around, where screwing a NATO filter into a GOST mask is actually damaging. PMG. PMG1 I like because it's the Metro Cop mask, but it's kind of just meh. Mainly because the soft rubber means the filter just weighs the mask too much down on one side. PMG2 is just a GP5M, and it's probably a better mask than GP5 because it's got a voice diaphragm on it. So yeah, the GP5M I like, the PMG2. PMK series I don't like. PMK4 and PMKS are alright, but PMK1 to 3 are pretty crap. Well, at least it's kind of a relevant advert, I guess, if you're getting Myra adverts. Situation in Israel. Well, there's not much of a change in the situation in Israel. There's certainly a change in Iran, if that's what you say. And I did do a video on this. But seems like Iran isn't going to be the Islamic Republic of Iran, I don't reckon, for very long. Because it's, you know, they're having the absolute shit bombed out of all their infrastructure and leaders. It's only the Ayatollah, isn't it? They haven't bothered blowing up yet. And I think, supposedly, there was some stuff today about the son of the Shah potentially going back, like being put as new leader of Iran. So we'll see what happens. But because I've known people that have fled from the Islamic Republic of Iran, I actually hope for Iran's sake they get a decent country again. I know bombing it isn't a good way of going about that, but what I'm saying is the people in charge of it at the moment are fucking scumbags, you know. So if the Ayatollah went up in smoke, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. Out of the classic Shums, the Shum 62U or whatever is the name of the GP5M. Well, that might even be Shum 66. I can't remember that one. the PMG2, but that's the same mask. The Shums behind me, well, that's an MM1 behind me. That's not technically a Shum. The SHMS, I guess, is a Shum because the S is the different bit at the end. So, and some of the Polish ones that aren't Shums, but they are Shum face pieces. But yeah, anyway, let's see how well this filter works on this thing. Yeah, up until 79, Saint, because they had the Islamic Revolution, the Shah and his family got kicked out, which was like their king, essentially. And then they had the Ayatollahs in charge and went to being, you know, like women must wear bed sheets and all that sort of stuff. And people, whatever. Somebody says BS. I'm waiting for what you're saying is BS. I'm sure you're saying B's. But yeah, it basically turned into a shithole country because it got run by religious loonies. You know, the same reason you wouldn't want to live in a Christian fundamentalist country or wherever else. That basically in Iran, it went from being a country that acted, like that. BS like UK. Oh, you don't like UK? Okay, goodbye. I mean, I don't. Lots of people over here don't like the UK either, but you're welcome to go. Dogs or cats? I definitely prefer dogs, but I don't mind either. Cats more often set my allergies off, but personally I like dogs. But that's because you can train a dog to fetch stuff and whatever else. I suppose you could probably train a cat, but cats are kind of like one of those things of like human do what I want, whereas dogs are actually loyal to you. Anyway, I was going to check this with the ammonia. Pretty sure that's pressurizing. Like I said, this is technically not a NATO filter on this. No leaking on the thing. So yeah, it seems the GOST filter, at least on here, does seem properly. Yeah, right. So regarding the UK, so I kind of agree with you. Yeah, we're not saying Estonia is bad, but yes, right. How the UK works is London is essentially a first world economy, with lots of places which are much poorer bolted on. And that's because the governments over like decades have not invested in other parts of the UK. So, yeah, so you've got London, which is like a very rich, sort of famous city where lots of banking and stuff like that goes on. But yeah, sadly, not all of it, but a lot of the other bits of the UK are much more economically deprived because every big company wants to be based around London or like some other places near London. So, yeah, you'll see although there's obviously a lot of poor people that live in the suburbs of London as well. If you look at the wealth inequality of the UK, yes, London is the bit where all the money essentially comes from and is contained to, and the rest of the country is kind of quite different. No, I didn't think there was Estonians everywhere else in the UK if you meant physically. But no, I think he was getting to the point of how the economics work on the UK. But yeah, that's been said by a lot of people that like the UK is like London is a first world economy with the, like a developing nation bolted to the side of it. Because bear in mind, in my area, we're only now starting to get proper fiber optic broadband put in. And this is 2025, where, in the early 2000s, that was being done in a lot of other countries in Europe. When I was on holiday in Germany and that recently, I was amazed that I had good mobile internet nearly everywhere, unlike here where I don't even get a mobile signal. Because if my wired internet crashes, this is why these streams die, because the mobile internet is so weak where I am, my phone can't switch to it and then carry on streaming. So yeah, there's a lot of area near me where you can't even make phone calls, let alone like download stuff. Oh, you got a black GP5, cool. Well, the size being different won't be bad. It just depends if it fits you all right. Because with some masks, I'm sort of, there's two sizes. Like one will be too tight, one will be a bit loose. So it depends on the mask and how it fits your face. In all honesty, what started in the 90s in America? Well, fiber optic internet or what? But yeah, but what my point was is that there's lots of places in Europe that have really, really good infrastructure with both, like, you know, cable internet and mobile internet. Whereas where I am, you know, you don't get mobile internet essentially, and the physical lines are still copper wire lines for most of where I live. So the speed is better than it used to be, because about 10 plus years ago they actually did partial fiber optic. So at least now it's only like, you know, a few hundred yards of copper wire, not miles of copper wire, but it still means that, you know, your speed just massively goes down by 90 something percent by having, you know, that copper wire in the sort of bit there. Depends where you are, Marcus. Again, a lot of people don't like government, so bear that in mind. Like, a lot of the government type people are woke across all the parties, and again, when I say woke, I mean this as in like the really stupid like politics, not actually people that, you know, I'm butchering my words here, but you know what I mean. Like, because again, with the whole woke thing, I find it's a bit loaded, because some people go, "Oh, this is woke, that's woke," where for me, it's just like people are going over the top to be, you know, all these rights nobody cares about because we already have those rights, if that makes sense. So the governments are the type of people that do all the SJW shit, where they, even if they're not improving the situation, they'll keep going on about, yeah, your average person here probably likes the country, but not the people that run it, if that makes sense. Because bear in mind, it was like lots of governments a while ago were having a go at people for flying English flags. So it's one of those sort of things where, like, you're a racist because you're flying an English flag. Yeah, so Marcus, it's the difference is it's the politicians live in a completely isolated world from most of the population. Because again, most of the population actually have to think about bills, and they have to think about, you know, jobs and all that sort of shit. Whereas the politicians are rich people who don't really live in, you know, actual reality. So they can talk about whatever the fuck they want and it doesn't affect them. Whereas regular people, Plain said exactly. Can't get them out on a YouTube stream. I've said that loads of times on a YouTube stream. And I remember I had to surrender some as well because of the fucking law changes. But with a YouTube stream, you can't show anything. I can't even show an airsoft gun on the YouTube stream because that can get you a strike. Or the stream just immediately gets deleted. Because YouTube basically does the stupid thing of, like, anything that looks slightly firearms related, you are not allowed on the live stream at all. Most of England is fine, Marcus. London is the bit you'd want to be careful in because, like I said, although London is a rich city, it's full of, like, lots of people that nick your watch and phone, you know, pickpockets and, like, muggers and stuff like that. Especially because the police don't bother actually dealing with a lot of that crime now, because again, a lot of the police have been roped into dealing with hurt feelings online, not real crime. Like the area I am in, it's completely fine. I'd say in the UK, it's more certain big cities are dodgy in certain areas or at certain times of day. But like where I am, like I went into town with some friends the other day. Yeah, dress like a homeless person and then nobody will bother you. But yeah, when I went into Oxford the other day, it's actually been cleaned up a lot more than it used to be. So, yeah, exactly, Rusty, because then nobody will stop you and ask you for money. But yeah, when I was in Oxford the other day with some mates, there were a lot less like beggars on the street than what I was used to a few years ago. You know, like nobody hassling people at bus stops. Like, that's not to say it doesn't still happen, because I think my dad said that, like, you know, often if you go there in the day, there are like gangs of beggars that, you know, are all organized almost like being pimped out. You know, they pimp out the men for begging and the women for prostitution sort of thing. But that wasn't there, luckily, when I was there. Marcus, I'm trying to think. So, like, it depends what you want to see. Like, again, if I went to the UK on holiday, I'd want to see things like some of the castles and historical things, not really the towns. But Dover's quite good. Although, yeah, so Rusty's saying up north, and Dover's at the very opposite. But Dover's interesting because you've got a lot of the World War II stuff and, you know, like the Battle of Britain stuff there and whatever. Dover City is, again, a bit of a shithole, but the actual stuff around Dover is quite interesting. Yeah, M9s are good. If you can get an M9A1, but bear in mind they're not as good as Finnish M61s or whatever. But they're, yeah, Yorkshire, like, again, it depends whereabouts in Yorkshire, because some of my mates live up in Leeds now. And they said, all right, Visa, and they said, like, Leeds is a bit of a shithole, but at least rent is cheap and everything like that. So they actually quite like living in Leeds, because at least, you know, it's cheap compared to Oxfordshire, where we're from, where everyone's a toff except for the people born here now. So yeah, but yeah, like, there's lots of historic stuff in Yorkshire. What district of London? Because one of my mates lives in London and technically doesn't, because he's in Orpington, like Bromley, so he's like right almost in the Kent end, although it's still on the urban sprawl of London. Yeah, well, we're on about Finnish M61s, because the guy was asking about M9s, and I was like, yeah, but Finnish M61s are the same mass, but better. I don't know. I've never heard it's illegal to ride a cow while intoxicated, but you're not meant to drive a vehicle while intoxicated. There's lots of black people in most cities. For when Chunky Monkey is saying that lives in London where the black people are. There's black people all over the UK. Yeah. Again, when you go somewhere like that as a tourist, you don't see, like, again, because like if I was to go into London, I'd visit touristy stuff. I wouldn't go there to just sit around in the city. Working on anything interesting, Ohio Uncle? Venice said hi. Do roadmen exist? I assume there is like some sort of chavvy, shitty roadmen sort of culture. But it's again one of those things I've never actually bumped into in person. Like I've seen a lot like chavvy kind of you know, just loitering about sort of people. But yeah, again, it depends where you are, and like they have different names for the same type of groups in different areas. But chavs and chavettes, chavettes. But yeah, it's. I assume chavs are still a thing, but it's probably like not even as big a thing as it used to be. Is it like one of those sort of not quite as fashionable as it used to be? Because I know chav wasn't fashionable, but you know what I mean, like the people who would actually dress up in all that sort of shit. A chav is like right, so probably like white trash essentially. Although I suppose it could be black and a chav as well. But there's loads of things that the acronym was meant to stand for. Like council housed and violent used to be one of them. But yeah, basically like some, you know, like gopniks in Russia and like that sort of thing, you know, like somebody in a tracksuit that looks like they're probably doing nothing but drinking and sort of doing drugs all day. Yeah, Scotland is very beautiful. Like I said, it's because the interesting thing with Scotland is how low the population density is outside of the cities. So ignoring Glasgow and Edinburgh, you've not got cheers, Chunky Funky Monkey. If you donated in dollars, you don't live in London, do you? Unless you're using some sort of weird currency exchange. But yes, thank you regardless. But yeah, but like rural Scotland is really nice, especially if you go to some of the islands, because that is much more just doing it for nature and like, you know, the fresh air and the outdoors. Where again, Edinburgh and stuff has got lots of really cool you know, like historical stuff like London. But again, when I was in Scotland, I just like the remote sort of scenery bits of it more. You're an American living in London, an American werewolf in London. Ah, so that's where the benefits are going. All right, Rajiv. Again, you just said it was a funny thing, so I don't know what you've done. Your funny video that you hope they don't take it down. Again, it's a very different thing, I think, Sane. The weird thing is like a Glaswegian, right? See you, Chunky Funky Monkey. The Glaswegian accent for somebody like me is quite hard to understand. Like I can just about understand it, but it's quite difficult. But when you go up further north into the Highlands, they're Scottish accents, but they're really understandable because they pronounce the words properly. So again, it's that kind of funny thing, like we're saying with a lot of these places that, you know, Don't get mobilized then, Marcus. Oh, you made a video exposing somebody, did you? Go to channel, I can have a look. Rykard, I have no idea who that is. But then if you're going to say, I've done a video exposing you and all the shilling you do for AliExpress. Yeah, it's like you're saying, Rajiv, the online speak, like, what's that? The Gen Alpha thing, the Phantom Tax, Ohio Phantom Tax. I'll get the Gen Alpha slang up so we can read some out. Gen Alpha slang, including terms like Riz, charisma, skibbity, often used to describe something cool or weird, no cap, meaning no lie, and gyat, used to express surprise or admiration. Other some slang terms include simp. I know what a simp is. Cringe. I know what cringe is. And sus, short for suspicious. Additionally, drip refers to someone's style, particularly for clothes and accessories. But there's more than these. Like, Sigma is now the alpha. That's the weird thing. So Skibbity Ohio Riz means somebody that's weird. A Rizlub, though, is somebody who has a lot of charisma. Mewing, verb for working on strengthening your jawline. It could also mean looking good. So apparently if you chew a lot, you're mewing as a Gen Alpha. Phantom tax. Phantom tax means stealing food from a friend. The slang comes from online streamer and YouTuber Kai Sadat, whose Phantom taxes people by stealing food off of other people's plate. Salty, I know that one. Salty is in, yeah, you're in a mood, you're mad. When something is lit, it is really good. There's loads of weird ones on there. Yeah, again, there's loads of those sort of things, say, like weird, like, again, because you get slang terms in regions as well. Yeah, it could be, depending on how it vented, it could be a case of they shouldn't have had it, and they hadn't realised it was one they couldn't still have, if that made sense. Phantom taxed my gyat in Ohio when I rizzed my sister. Why would you want to rizz your sister? Sounds a bit skibbity to me, my friend. Yeah, top venting, because yeah, top venting is illegal now, sadly. Well, technically only top venting is illegal with Turkish guns, but who the fuck knows of these stupid stupid rules they make up with all of this stuff with the, like I said with the blank firers, that's the reason, like when people go, oh, you're gonna get some more. I was sort of saying, well, at the moment, I don't really want to risk it, because you could spend money on it, be registered as the owner, and then they could randomly decide again that something that was totally legal isn't legal now. Brain rot's taking over me. And I'm just reading out how the Gen Alpha people talk. Emmy Ranger, let me look it up. Emmy Ranger blank. Ah, cool. That's very similar. Is that technically a cult single action army under that? Yeah, it is a cult single action army. Yeah, I have, similar to that, I have a, if you see my video on it, a blank Confederate one, although it loads via a back gate, like a single action, because it takes cartridges, not cap and ball. And that's very similar to that. Makes nice bigger booms. Cheers, cool. I'll bookmark them, but I probably can't read them out on a YouTube stream because of YouTube's rules. But yeah, because they're pre-whatever, like pre-18 whatever designs, 1890 designs, it means that they're not actually classed. Again, it's just how many stupid, weird rules we have. But yeah, you'd obviously have to look on their site, wouldn't you, at which ones you can have with and without the Oh yeah, the ear person's back. Ear. Well, made in the Ohio era. Well, when you say Ohio era, what do you mean, like the late 1800s? And what a fucking weirdo asking about ears. Yeah, for your ears only. And that's not even to the tune properly. But yeah, yeah. No, I'm surprised it's ears and not feet or whatever. But yeah, you do get weird people like that. You know, not kink shaming, but this isn't the place for it. Yeah. I'm just wondering if this person has like a preference for huge Dumbo ears or like small ears, or maybe like different size ears on different people. Maybe they'd really like the GP5M because it's got the ear hole bits in it, so your ears stick out. No, I'd be medically unfit to serve even if I wanted to, Samuel. I find a lot of the Militaria stuff interesting, but I wouldn't actually, unless they really drop the rules because there's going to be World War III or something, and then said, right, every fucking asthmatic and whatever else, we need to enlist. So otherwise, no. But like I said, I have a lot of respect for people that do service and that, but like I said, I never try and pretend that I've done it, because you get people going like, you're impersonating a soldier. It's like, no, never fucking worn a uniform with fucking medals on or anything like that. I've heard of the shop, Grey Shop, and there was also one like Soviet Power like that, but I'm assuming that's because they can't import it anymore. Yeah, well, maybe that way I could afford rent if you're a conscript in the army, at least you're shoved in a barracks and given money. So that there would be that. Over 150, the answer's not really changed. I mean, it's gone up by +1 when I got this the other day. Too many is the answer for that. But yeah, I'm not even counting them anymore. Yeah, it's just more like because some people assume regardless. But again, like I said, when I'm if I'm wearing milsurp stuff in public, I'd rather it isn't like current issue stuff. And even then, I don't normally wear like a jacket with trousers at the same time. As in like I might have the DPM trousers on. A weirdo row tips is the answer to this. I don't know if you mentioned sweat. I thought it was just do you know me? I doubt I know you, person, unless you're going to tell me more about you. You also said hi. Oh, we could listen into air traffic control, I suppose.
Welcome, frequency mode.
They're talking at the moment. Yeah, they must be very cut countries where you can't even wear camouflage. I can completely understand the ones where you can't wear the current military stuff. But I don't get the ones, where it's like any kind of milsurp whatsoever you can't own.
Delta Romeo Tango, taxi, holding point Charlie 1, runway 01, via Alpha Bravo and Charlie. Charlie 101, Alpha Bravo.
Yeah, something Romeo Alpha. This is actually quite a good radio. I haven't done a video on it yet, but quite like this radio. It's got the big extendable thing. When I say thing, I mean got my battery coming loose. Although I'll probably just push it down again to a couple of points like that, and then have it one less point. Yeah, there we go. Look up your local airport's frequency, because Dutch, they have to be publicly transmitted things so the planes can talk to them. Like, I'd be in a lot of trouble if I started pressing in the talk button and started yapping on their frequency. A fucking weirdo road tips is the answer to that. But at least I'm not underage, because then that would be where it would get really fucking weird if you get people asking that on kids' channels. Yeah, I can understand if you're in a war-torn place why you wouldn't be allowed to have mil-cert gear on, but for most countries, I can talk to the tower, yes, and then I'd be in a lot of trouble, because you can, obviously the tower frequency is publicly available, so the tower and the aircraft can talk to each other, but you're not meant to transmit on that unless you're a plane actually, you know, doing something with a tower.
Report final. Report final, Gulf Kilo Romeo.
And somebody tried to yank the mossing off you. Halloween event. Yeah, I'm not massively into radio, but Hype sent me another one of the Chinese ones I think he was able to get cheap, and just said, you know, did I want one? And I said, I'm not going to say no. Oh, that's the point. I have got my other good radio on charge at the moment, so I finally found the charger for it. Typical bloody thing. I caved in and ordered a replacement charger for it, and then today, while the other one's in the shipping process, I found the original fucking charger for it. A rad tail that was. I could look for some other frequencies in my area, actually. Let me just do that a second. See if I can pick up some other ones.
Golf Charlie, downwind, let's pick up. Golf Charlie, number 2, follow the Charity on right base. Golf final number 2, Golf Charlie.
Tesco Stores Limited. And we can see if we can get in the local Tesco's thing. That's Didcot, so Didcot might be a bit far for me. Yeah, so we'll see. I have to put 7 in first. 1 second, I'm trying to remember how to back out of that. No, it's not 7 length first, it's... Is it,
Cancel. Runway 01, wind 290 degrees, 6 knots, clear to land.
Right, 159. 512. 512. It's the closest it's gotten to that one, but 159, 512. So yeah, that's not exactly on there. I think that's too small a bit for it to jump to, but yeah, that I'm not expecting to get anything on that frequency because it's a further one away. I'll have a look on more of a list for local things. Yeah, I've still got all my radioactive stuff because it's legal to own, so you know it sits in the safe and is used when I do videos on radioactive stuff. Model United Nations. So did you then bring the Nagant into that? You only sit down and listen to orders. I am United Nations now. St. John's College has one. Radley College has one. Let's see if I can get St. John's College on the radio. Yeah, get your shoe and bang it on the desk as well. So that is one.
Welch.
Oh, I keep doing that.
Ansel. 1, 6, 9, 2, 3, 7.
Yeah, it's not finding much on that. So the airfield is the only one I know of near me without doing just a search of all the frequencies in my area that I can actually pick up all right. This does have a nice spectrometer kind of function on there. I don't know if you can see that on there. But that will show you if you're actually picking up, you know, a thing on a certain frequency or just scanning through them.
Ansel.
Let's go back to the airfield for now anyway, because at least I can listen to stuff on the airfield. Right, tower is 133425 I was on before.
1, 3, 3, 4, 2, 5.
So that should hopefully start getting some bits in again in a minute. Yeah, I haven't messed about with a squelch yet, Saint, on this one. Until there's terrorist attack miles, probably not.
Report at Juliet.
Because generally with politicians, they're so fucking lazy that something bad has to happen before they bother to change the law. But hello to everybody coming on. But yeah, like I said, I haven't messed with the squelch or anything on that one yet. Because I haven't really learnt all the interfaces for it. Because the first thing I did to check it works is that, cool, what's the activity on yours, Janky EXE? Because mine's a pretty low power one for a DP2, but some DP2 ones, I believe, are still about 50 R an hour, which means they'd have been about 200 R an hour when originally put in the thing. All right, Hype. I was playing about with this just now. I can get back off. Because I got that up and running and it can listen into the airfield. I haven't done like any full scans of it yet in my local area to see what hours to pick. So the guy said his name is Diesel. Hello, Diesel. So yeah, like I said, it's just I haven't messed about in all the functions yet. Let's see if I can easily figure out how to do Scoutch on here. Probably want menu. Squelch step. Okay, then maybe that one.
One bit left into my side.
You said your name is Diesel, and I said hello, Diesel.
Golf Charlie at the end of the downwind leg, or a bit left into my side. End of the downwind leg, or a bit left into my side, Golf Charlie.
You need a license to transmit on certain channels, not to listen in. Got mine ages ago on eBay, back when they used to be easy to get on eBay for not very much money.
Menu.
Right, which is the enter button on here? Oh, I didn't press it fast enough. Oh well, I'll look into doing that.
Delta Romeo Tango Taxi holding point Alpha 3 by Alpha. Alpha 3 by Alpha.
Alright, cool, that's good to know. Yeah, I know the one you mean, the one that came with it, yeah.
Thank you, 68 November Alpha Tower, good afternoon. The right hand circuit is active. Runway 01, wind 30 degrees, 6 knots, clear to land.
But yeah, thanks for letting me know anyway. So let's do it, see if I can do a scan.
Delta Romeo Tango, hold at Alpha 4. Hold at 4.
FM. Okay, to see if I can do a scan on FM.
Delta Romeo Tango, continue the taxi to parking via Alpha and Juliet and south position MA1, thanks. Taxi via Alpha and Juliet.
Let's try to go to FM and they're still talking to me.
Channel mode 1.
Now FM's working again. Right, can I scan FM? Or do I just have to very slowly go through all the frequencies? Diesel, there you go, diesel, as in Thomas the Tank Engine. Diesels! Well, I heard something, maybe not. Faintly hear something there. That's because I'm just picking up commercial radio now. Ah, that's cool to know. Yeah, that way I can have access to more band. I'll do that at some point. Yeah. Oh no, copyright strike incoming. I'll turn that off. Are you working or not? What do you mean, am I working or not? I'm streaming at the moment. If you Discord me that instruction, then I'll do it when I'm not on the stream at some point. The lower push to talk, so that's going to be what, the B one or that one. And then at the small side button. Alright, the person that's being weird, I'm getting rid of. Goodbye. Again, that was a very strange conversation there. Don't mess around with me. I am very threatened by the little kid threatening me on YouTube. Goodbye. Find something better to do with your time. A very, very big list. I know at one point I was comparing my list to Weapon Collector. And we were trying to work out who had the bigger list, but they were both fucking huge. No, I have not got rid of any of my deactivated rifles. I've got some old black powder guns, because they're obsolete calibers, but I don't have anything that's functional in 22 or whatever. So am I the channel that had to get rid of my decommissioned rifles? The answer is no. FAG SV100. Is that a Geiger counter? The FAG bit is funny. I won't say that out loud. I have a feeling they're a German company, aren't they? What antenna do you use? Whatever this one is, I've been sent. So again,
Golf Charlie, runway 01, wind 280 degrees, 5 knots, clear to land.
RH795 wideband antenna, Japan. But anyway, I'll stop playing about with that at the moment. Should just see how well it receives the airport with the thing fully down the antenna, just to see if it will actually pick it up without
ST6 got some tower, continue approach, report at 2 miles.
yeah, still oh yeah, cheers, because by having a job, Adam, is the answer to that, and over many years, not all in one go. And like I said, some of this stuff used to be quite cheap, and now it's not anymore. But again, selling it on isn't that isn't that easy, sadly, because like again, there's a lot of stuff that if I could easily sell it now, I'd sell it for a big chunk of money. But annoyingly, a lot of it, if it's messing about online with people that then go, oh, it wasn't as described, so I want the full refund, and I'm not going to send it you back. Can't be asked to put up with that. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, the radio's good, but I haven't, like I said, I haven't had too much of a chance to mess about with it yet. Oh yeah, that Geiger counter you're on about, I just looked it up. I know the one you mean. Kind of, that just fell over. It was a ghost. Kind of, yeah, like big rectangle one. But yeah, I do not have that one. I have a smaller little German one where you can change the probe. Yeah, I imagine it is good when it works because it's German. Like I said, that little German one I've got's pretty damn good. That is like the size of a little pocket radio, and then you can plug the different probes in it. Where could you buy a TF1? You can get TF1s on AliExpress very easily. If you watch my video I did on the TF1 the other day, there's an affiliate link inside the video to that exact TF1 I ordered. Yeah, unless, because again, when I've sold stuff, Saint, it's normally been in-person sales where you're not going to have any issue afterwards. But like I said, I hate the idea of selling something that's potentially worth a lot and then having like a massive ball ache if the person's like, oh, it never turned up, or it wasn't in the condition you described, and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, for like sales, I've done face-to-face ones before when somebody's been close enough by that they're up for doing one, but most of the time I don't bother, which is why there's so much fucking stuff piled up here. And I quite often then get people saying to me, like, "Oh, do you wanna buy another like blank gun or whatever?" Like, no, I've got too many. Stop offering me more stuff to waste my money on. Yeah, Heckler and Koch is also a good German brand. I agree. For the MP5 and the G3 and the USP pistol. Jawohl. Yeah, I like HK. I prefer FN to HK, but I do like HK. Guten Morgen. It is mine Heckler and Koch. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say at the moment because, like I said, I'm watching the Iran thing out of pretty much a lot of interest. Yeah, it goes from basically background radiation to 200 Rontgen at DP5. that's kind of cool, yeah. So something that is just essentially a ball ache, painful on your balls, but just means it's too much effort for what it's worth. It's a load of hassle, a load of like bullshit, basically. Yeah, we're still at what you'd expect at the moment. Ah, they are only allowed to buy the German pistols in Germany. They have the protectionism, do they? All right, exhausted. But yeah, I didn't know that they were only allowed to own German guns, the German police. So they're not even allowed Steyr. They can't even buy Austrian. They have to. We are only allowed the HK pistols. And the Wolfer. That does seem a bit protectionist. So look what they did to Sig. Look what they did to my beautiful Sig. They massacred my boy. I can't do the Marlon Brando from The Godfather. But yeah, comparing, I can't show it because it's again YouTube policy. But I've got a Diak Sig 510 there, an amazing Cold War rifle. And Sig used to make amazing pistols, and now Sig USA is like the thing that goes off and blows a hole in your leg because they don't have proper safeties. They just randomly go out of battery. They are allowed to buy the Sig. No, I do not think that is a good idea. I have no idea, I'm afraid. In general, at least for nuclear protection, if it's not permeable, they've at least got the particle protection because you can wash the dust off. Do I think Iran will hit the UK? No, I mean, they're not really even managing to hit Israel, are they? Which is who they're currently fighting. They threatened the UK and America. They've done that. You dare to help Israel, and we will get you. And we're like, oh no, I'm so scared of Iran. But no, there's been terrorism stuff related to Iran before in the UK, but in terms of a conventional strike, no, they just aren't capable of it. Yeah, protection from nukes, exactly. Build a bunker. They might do, but when you say nuclear winter, I think a winterization kit might just be using them in cold countries. I know. They're not very happy with Putin because he signed a thing in January this year with them of of mutual protection, and then they're like, Russia, please help, and Russia's like, no. So you're saying, what's wrong with Italian pistols? A Beretta is fine. Where are the Su-35s? Where is the proofs of agreement? Yeah, it's an MM1. I mean, it's technically, I think, Soviet, not East German, but it's an East German issued one because it has the East German bag of it. Yeah, Su-35s in exchange for Shaheds. Can we have Su-35s? No. Bunker would definitely protect you for until you run out of food and then die horribly of irradiation, assuming you're not directly hit by a nuke. Yeah, like I said, that they bought all of the things for something they didn't give Iran back. I'm sure a lot of countries planned on using chemical weapons in the freezing cold and biological weapons and nuclear weapons. But yeah, with winter kits, it's not just for gas masks. There's lots of random gear that has winterized, like extra, like moisture protection and like ice protection. It's debatable if nuclear winter would actually happen, so I don't know. Is the answer to that? Nobody knows because it never actually happened. Well, breathing filtered air, it makes more sense than breathing irradiated air, yes. But like I was saying, the main problem of a nuclear war isn't surviving the initial bit of it for lots of people. It's just how fucked everything might be afterwards. Why would you need an X-ray gun to give soldiers cancer? Just give them really bad MREs. Let me look up the winterization kit for the M9 because you keep bringing it up. US M9 winterization kit. Yeah, so it's a bit like the M17's chemical hood, but it's got a weird nose, like a nose bit along it, because it's an M9 with a giant nose. Yeah, I mean, it looks cool. I think most of that, though, is just to keep heat inside the mask, in all honesty. You can filter radioactive particles from the air sources. You can't filter gamma rays, is what you're asking. You can put shitloads of shielding between you and the radiation. But, governments who built nuclear bunkers for themselves, their bunkers would work. It's just a problem that they're stuck on their own rationed sort of food and everything afterwards. Because, again, that's the big problem with all this sort of stuff is if the Earth's doomed, what's the point in living a bit longer anyway? That's cool. Yeah, I guess it's just to stop it cracking up from, ice and shit getting in it. Distance and shielding can protect you against gamma. But yeah, as in, the further you are away from it, the better. The more stuff between you and the source is better. Because there are, actual reactors with, water... what would you call it? Where they have a water vessel, essentially, to block most of the gamma rays, where you can see Cherenkov glowing in it. But, the point being that, if an irradiated bit of cobalt-60 lands right on the roof of your little homemade bunker, I don't think your bunker's going to do anything to protect you. Yeah, that makes sense as well, Visa. But yeah, with filters in bunkers, you can certainly block the irradiated smoke and dust getting in that, is going to definitely kill you from breathing it in, that stuff. Because if you ever go to any of the old big decommissioned bunkers, they've got huge ventilation complexes. And I thought Zyklon was made by Fritz Haber. It was called Gift Gas at the time, but I'm pretty sure it's Germany. I'm pretty sure it was IG Farben that made it. So that sounds like fake news. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it was IG Farben that made Cyclone B. Yeah, IG Farben. Yeah. It was also made in Hamburg by Tesch and Stauerbo. Everything on here only mentions Germany. I don't think the Swedes randomly just made that for the... Yeah, beware of a German bearing gifts. Presentation, up to you what you want to do a presentation on. I mean, the Falklands isn't going to offend people as much, and you can actually write how it ended, because the Falklands War is actually over. Ukraine is just going to drag on and on for quite a long time. I don't get what you're getting at there, Patrick, but I don't know why you're besmirching Sweden with making something that was clearly made by IG Farben. But no, it's IG Farben that made it, which was one of the so bad companies that after World War II, it wasn't even attempted to be allowed to continue in West Germany. It was just basically completely destroyed and looted for all its resources, because IG Farben was rotten to the core of how many party members it had in it. Ah, you found a Chick-fil-A on your radio, did you? Can you order drive-through using a radio? Can you just radio the store and say I would like to order this, this, and this, rather than phoning them up? They probably wouldn't appreciate it if you randomly found the frequency for a store and interrupted their radios. But I've been in a few places where they've not had encrypted proper radios, so when you're scanning through channels, you end up getting chatter from other things on it, because they're just using off-the-shelf radios set to a preset frequency. Because, yeah, again, if you're a company, obviously not a huge one, it's generally a lot cheaper just to buy a load of, like, 10-channel radios, you know, and then issue each of those radios out to somebody on your work site, as opposed to, you know, locking in set frequencies and encrypting them. Which model of Polish NBC suit? The nice modern ones or the old rubber ones? Sounds like something the US Army would do, ordering fast food with a radio. I need a supply drop right now of lots of McNuggets. I know they actually had like Burger King and McDonald's and that in their FOBs in Afghanistan. Like they could actually airlift out fucking McDonald's, which is brilliant. So like the grey sort of the grey blue Polish one, yeah, I know the one you mean. It's not a bad NBC suit. It's basically very similar to the Russian and East German NBC suits. And you're right, Alfie. It's just the thing I don't like the old ones is the fact that you have to try and like very awkwardly tie it a bit up around your wrists on each of them. Whereas what I like with the more modern ones, where they have the elasticated cuffs, is you just shove your hands through it and then you're good. All right, Rich. We've had a weirdo asking about licking my ears already this stream, or whatever he was doing. I know dogs like doing that. Maybe it's a dog that's turned into a person. But yeah. Very specific getting shot with an anti-tank rifle while ordering McDonald's. The Americans are very big. We need to hit them with the anti-elephant gun. Oh, it's just when you get like the weird either fetishists or trolls on that always do weird comments. Like I'd expect it to be about feet, but no, it's about somebody like show me your sexy ears. I want to like come in them or whatever it was, or lick the insides of them. Or that I blocked that person. They've come back with another account today. I know. Like if I obviously do the thing where you make it so people have to be subscribed for 5 minutes, that stops most of that. But that's a bit annoying because it means people can't just come on and say hello and go, "What's this channel?" And then those people sometimes stick around. I mean, they'd be quite small holes, so unless you got a big knife to make the holes bigger, you'd have to be very, very not well endowed to fit in an ear hole. Any good filter brands? What country are you in, Zoomer Boomer? Because, again, there's lots of good filters, but it's just where you can get ones new for not stupid money. We are on about the ear fetishist that Grace. USA, I don't know, other than like what I said in my video earlier. Can you go to places like Harbor Freight and buy filters? Because I saw they did do some masks on Harbor Freight when I looked it up for the Americans. I don't know if they do 40 millimeters. But hardware stores are probably your best bet. That way you're not buying expired milsurp. Not that there's nothing wrong with that if they're actually good filters in the first place and sealed properly. And again, I know in the US it's hard to order from AliExpress now because the best deal maker upset the Chinese people. So yeah, I'd say hardware stores. I know 3M do 40 millimeter filters and do Scott and a load of the others, MSA. So a message held for review. Oh, it wasn't. It was just somebody commenting what I said. I thought it was going to be one of the disgusting comments again. And I definitely think my Fitbit is on its way out because this has gone from this morning down to 75% again. And yesterday, I think I didn't charge it up for 1 day and it was down to 30% after like less than 48 hours. So I think this has definitely almost had it, this Fitbit. As far as I know, they don't still make 60 millimeter filters, which is why a lot of countries bought those 60 to 40 millimeter filter converters so they could use 40 millimeter filters on their old masks. I do kind of miss 60 millimeter filters simply for the fact that some of them let a lot more air flow through. Because if they have a big intake hole and the big, outtake hole, you get a load more air going through the filter. Probably depends on what companies make them, Billiam, but yeah, what I hate is the fact companies can falsely advertise the capacity of their batteries on loads of sites and nothing's done about it. This used to last about 10 days when I first got it. But like I said, I think now it's just gotten to the stage where constant draining and charging it has probably fucked the battery. You could still get Finnish filters, Shadow Team, and they'll be safe to use, assuming they're not leaking. Finnish M61 filters don't have asbestos in them, and they'll fit your M9 absolutely fine. But it will have like Suomi and a bit written on the side, so people can tell it's not a genuine filter. Unless you put one of those chemical covers over the filter, then somebody can't tell. But as far as I'm aware, no, nobody does 60mm filters anymore, like they don't do cheap filters anymore. I was actually thinking, although sadly because the mask is too small, I don't want to rip it and damage it, but my UK Mickey Mouse mask, so not the really rare American Mickey Mouse mask, but the UK children's mask from World War II, that's actually got a 60mm filter screw on the bottom. So in theory, you could get a kid's Mickey Mouse mask, put a Finnish filter on it, or a 60 to 40mm filter in it, and be totally safe to wear, unlike the old asbestos filter it used to use. I am not a fan of the PMK series, as I've said many times. PMKS is good, but I don't like the PMK 1 to 3 because they're just kind of meh. Yeah, I like those Finnish filters, Lisa. I might have to buy some more. I just genuinely like those filters. Very uncomfortable. It fogs up. Some people like them, but hang on. Right, that's a GP7 rather than a PMK, but it's got this really big, like, face seal in it that gets in the way of your eyes, at least for me. So that's right. That's the old GP5 filter. Where did I put the safe GP5 filter? That one. Oh, I damaged my mask then. Twisting it. I have to have a look at it, see if the entire mask just moved when I did that. I think that entire thing, yeah, that entire face piece bit has moved. I think, though, that's just... Oh, I see, that's for dismantling that. Oh, it's like the other fucking Chinese one. It's got, even though this is actually a good mask, it's got one of those, like, weird, so that's fine now, but I'm going to have to rubber glue this one as well. Because that's got the same problem, look, as that other one, where it, the assembly all attaches like that, so you can twist it out of the mask. Yeah. It does have an O-ring on there, so it is actually an alright seal, but yeah, again, I don't kind of get that design choice of doing that like they did it. Let's just get that twisted back into place. Is that fully up now? I think that oral nasal cup needs to just go a bit that way, but that's just done inside the mask. That looks still a bit off. Yeah, I reckon that needs to still twist a bit more. Yeah, it does. It's quite hard to twist without that plastic front cover on. That's easier to do it that way. Right. Yeah, I think that's fully back in place now, but yeah. So, PMK3 is marginally better, but PMK4 and the S are the good ones. But they're almost not the same mask as the GP7 and PMK1 anymore. All right. So I at least think that's airtight at the moment, but I'll test this. Like I said, I visually love the look of this mask. But, oh, ammonia's leaking in there. So I need to make the straps tighter, which is really difficult on this mask. Right, that strap's marginally tighter. That one definitely needs to be tightened because it's doing that look to my head. There we go. Right, that's that one tightened. That's that tightened. Yeah, that's airtight now, but like I said, if you like these masks, then all power to you. It's just personally I find these are really kind of uncomfortable straps. But you know, if you like it, that's fine. It's just personally. They're hard to get on and off because only the bottom straps are the kind of alright to adjust ones on these, and like I said, they have these kind of hard to tighten and loosen straps for the most part, the PMKs. Yeah, it's too hot for wearing a PMK in this weather. Yeah, it's a GP7. But yeah, that's like I said, that's the reason I don't like these, most of the PMK series, is just those stupid face seals inside. And how, like, bad the straps are. Like, the earlier Soviet masks with rubber hoods are definitely better. I actually prefer the earlier Soviet masks like the MM1 that just have fabric straps in the GP4. Yeah, especially if you have hair. If I had hair on, that would be literally pulling my hair out, that mask. So it's one of those ones that if I shave my head, I can just about put it on and make a seal. But when I have this mask and I've got hair, it's not even worth trying to make a seal because it just literally, your hair starts going into the gaps in the straps. So yes, the shum is so much better as in the GP5 in those because they are literally just a rubber hood you quickly pull onto your head. Yeah, daily put one of those on. I definitely just prefer a cheap GP5. Speaking of which, oh wait, that's the Polish one, but still good enough. But yeah, just for the comparison of which mask I prefer.
Definitely this one because they're tight already. I know you won't be able to hear me because of lack of voice diaphragm. And very easy to get one of these done up to your face. So
yeah, shums are way better than actual rubber hood masks. Yeah, exactly. Thanks for sending me that. So yeah, the VK, like Hype was saying, 320 filter is the old machine tooling of a GP5 filter, but without the asbestos inside. So it's a modern good equivalent. It just has the classic green metal can to it. Yeah, but the GP5 is still better than the fucking GP7 and PMK1 if you've got long hair. PMK1 from blurring? What do you mean, like fogging up inside? Put anti-fog wipes on the inside of it. The Draeger M65. Yeah. Yeah. It's a Draeger M65 isn't that great. Like I said, the Romanian one I like a lot more. The Romanian one that came afterwards, the M74 or whatever it is, which is basically just a good rip-off of it. But yeah, in terms of comfort with a mask, I absolutely love this Fulshida. It's not any good. If you mean the Draeger M65, they're all right, but they have awful straps. They have the same sort of straps as the PMK and GP7, where you can rip the rubber quite easily. Yeah, Hans gets a Flammenwerfer.
This one, the Forshida F2 is Swedish. You can get these on eBay pretty easily still. And this is very much like an S10 style face piece. This is still the most comfortable mask out of any of the masks I own because of how well this fits my face. I think I have an hour, don't I? Let's have a look. MSA hour. I know they're just two different chemical companies. Yeah, I did do it. But yeah, the MSA hour, the one I did a video on, was pretty good, yeah. Forshida F2, yeah, F2A4, because it's not got the drinking tube. So, yeah, this is, like I said, probably my favourite mask in terms of comfort. When you say production time for this mask,
And these were built, the civilian version, they ended production in the 90s, so nearly all of them from like the mid-90s you get on the surplus market for these, even if they're unissued. But the military version of this mask is still in production, so you can't eat. Annoyingly, I don't think Sweden sells the milsurp of these very often. So although Sweden has been using this since the 1990s, so they've had them in service now for about 30 odd years, you don't tend to actually see them on the surplus market, which is a shame, because the only real difference is the military one has the drinking tube bit there, and I think it lets you take the other XL valve off. So, you know, you can have it with two filters or swap the side of the filter. Like I said, these are really comfy just because it's a very nice, like, high-quality rubber face piece. Yeah, it's not really like an M65 at all. Like I said, the M65 is, if that Romanian mask is behind me anywhere, which it probably is, but it's probably been shoved right under a load of stuff. The Romanian one is the modernised, oh, there it is. Saying this is the modernised sort of Draeger style one. I've got some backpacks, but no, I don't really collect uniforms. Camo gear I collect just for the sake of it. It's quite good, comfy, cheap clothes. But yeah, they did a version of this of the drinking tube as well, which is, I think, the M85. This one's the M74. Oh, you're talking about an M2000, right?
Yeah, like I said, the Romanian one is pretty good. It's just like an M65, but better quality rubber. The main thing I like with these is that the straps are easy to adjust. Because with the M65s, they've got the straps like the PMK.
Whereas this thing, at least, has, you'll notice every strap on it has a quick adjust buckle, which is obviously a lot nicer because it means you can very quickly adjust and, like, loosen the straps. And yeah, that's not really even a voice diaphragm under there, it's just an XL valve, so they're pretty simple in terms of how these work. I mean, I think you get a bit of buzz noise because there's a mesh behind it. But yeah, these are essentially just better versions of the Draeger M65. Volksgas, oh, it's because this is just a particulate filter. So it's a wide, flat, like pancake particulate filter. I mean, these, as you can just see in there, it's just literally paper in there. There's no charcoal, so this won't work against the ammonia at all. But these were these Scott P3 filters were pretty good at one point because you could get them very cheaply in the UK, like unused. And obviously they were good because particle filters don't expire at all. So these were just good if you wanted a very lightweight filter. I see this one expires in 2028. So it was still completely brand new and sealed when I got this filter. And like I said, these are very good in terms of just if you want a cheap particle filter for, like, you know, sanding or anything like that where you don't have to worry about vapors. Can you get one GP5? What do you mean? You can buy GP5s online. They eventually clog up, Shadow Team. And I mean, maybe they expire after such a long period of time that they've disintegrated. But realistically, they'll last longer than you will, I'm afraid. Just as how human anatomy works. So yeah, particle filters, what happens is as you use a particle filter, it gets more and more clogged. And as the particle filter clogs up, it actually becomes better at stopping crap from getting through it. The problem is obviously the more it clogs, the more efficient it gets. And then when it reaches maximum efficiency, you can't breathe through it anymore. So basically particle filters don't expire as in go off and let stuff through that would otherwise get through it. But as they get more and more saturated, it gets harder and harder to breathe in it. Well, real filters are literally a particle filter in the front look with the charcoal bit behind. That's how NDC filters have been done for ages. They're a combination, but obviously the charcoal will expire in these when they're open just because of gas going through the filter. Italian M40, they are selling that as a Fushida. That's not good. But you can find, I got my Fushida for about 70 quid, I think. They are expensive in terms of masks from the 90s, but they are such good quality, that's why I like it. But yeah, the reason particle filters are good to own separately from normal filters is because you can use them if you're just using them for DIY stuff and keep your proper filters sealed, if that makes sense. I mean, I know you could also just open up some real old filters and use those, but what I mean by that is just that particle filters can be used on their own if you're only encountering particle threats, like, you know, sanding, stuff with dust and fine particles. I don't like the M40 as much as the Fushida. Americano, no good. Unless do you mean an Italian version of the American M40? Or do you mean a completely different thing? Show some meat, mate. No, thank you. I thought you were after my ears earlier, but now you're after my meat. No, thank you. Spaghetti bolognese. Right, anyway, I'm going to be off now. Because I still haven't had my cup of tea and that's gone fucking cold now, I imagine. The Italian. Yeah, what about the Italian? But, yeah, anyway, regardless, M40. Hopefully I'll be on for a stream tomorrow evening. Yeah, cheers. Yeah, it's meant to be quite bloody hot this weekend. I'm at work, but it could potentially be 31 to 33 Celsius in my area, which means work is going to be fucking horrible because where I work, it is always hotter than outside, the outside temperature. IKEA. Yeah, IKEA ought to do a gas mask. That'd be kind of interesting. You assemble your own gas masks out of little parts. The IKEA gas mask. How dare you! You stole my filters. Yeah, so I'll see everyone hopefully tomorrow. There's a couple of videos as usual I want to get filmed, but hopefully tomorrow a bloke I work with is going to cycle up and take a look at all my militaria and stuff tomorrow. And that's not a euphemism. He's just, you know, I guess wants to come out and do something. So he's into like World War II reenactment and shit like that. So he should hopefully have a lot of fun playing with some Diak guns. But yeah, anyway, have a good evening, everyone. I'm going to be off. And Scream. VR Bob says Scream. Very unrelated to everything else we've been talking about. I don't have the Scream mask. I probably have a cheap Halloween plastic Scream mask, but I don't have a gas mask style mask that looks like the Scream. Scream, he says again. S-Cream. Right. See you all. Goodbye. Have a good evening.